to develop blood clots. Malaysia yesterday said it will proceed with the purchase of the vaccine as planned. While there had been no data to indicate any direct link between the vaccine and blood clots in people, public skepticism about AstraZeneca's vaccine threatens to hamper the country's immunization program. Here's a look at what we know and what we don't so far.
Denmark was the first country to halt its use of the AstraZeneca COVID-19 vaccine last week after reports of blood clots in some people. Following which, a growing number of European countries and Indonesia followed suit to temporarily halt the use of the vaccine. However, Thailand went ahead with their inoculation campaign using AstraZeneca, with Thai Prime Minister Prayut Chan-o-cha becoming the first person to receive the vaccine in the country. Australia and Britain also said they do not plan to stop administering the vaccine. So, what are the concerns regarding AstraZeneca's vaccine? As of March 14, there have been 37 reports of blood clots out of more than 17 million people vaccinated in the EU and Britain. The drug maker, however, stressed there is no evidence the vaccine carries an increased risk of clots. Regulator European Medicines Agency also said there is no indication that vaccination has caused these conditions, adding that the number of reports of blood clots in people who received the AstraZeneca vaccine was no higher than for those who hadn't gotten the shot. World Health Organization Chief Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus, commenting on the situation, said the blood clot incidences may not be necessarily linked to the vaccination, but it's routine practice to investigate them. WHO Advisory Committee on Vaccine Safety has been reviewing available data on the vaccine and will meet with the European Medicines Agency on Tuesday.
Despite the assurance that there is no direct evidence of AstraZeneca vaccines causing blood clots among recipients, how can we understand what's happening with the vaccine and its safety? We speak to virologist Professor Dr. Chi Hui Yi to break down the issue for us.
When you are looking at the reported cases, for example, the 37 out of 17 million has been vaccinated. So the percentage of cases is very, very low. And until now, there is no direct evidence indicating that the cases is caused by vaccinations. Investigation is still ongoing. I'm pretty positive, optimistic about the vaccine. So usually the vaccines have to go through a lot of the testing, especially the phase 3 clinical trial, which they involve thousands of volunteers. Up until now, there's no severe adverse effects being reported. Same for others vaccines. And to me, the vaccine is very safe. If not safe, our country would not approve it to be used in our citizens. So the probability to link the severe side effect to the vaccine is very, very, very low. This is what I can tell the public. No need to worry because the percentage is very, very low and there is no direct evidence to link these cases to the vaccinations.
Many people are still hesitant about the safety of vaccines. Now, with the incidents surrounding AstraZeneca, how do we address this fear?
I know sometimes now it's quite difficult to, especially all this kind of news is coming out. But we have to look at the probability. You know, when every day there's someone die due to certain medical conditions. The person died may not related to the vaccine, but it's just coincident. This is a mass vaccinations. So definitely someone will die after vaccinations. And then people will start to link the vaccination with the fatality. Unless it's a poison that you jab and then within 2-3 hours you collapse. It could be allergy reactions. This is true. Allergy reaction, someone is really allergic to certain certain compound or certain chemical. That is true. But if you are talking about this vaccine causing like blood clot or other things that suddenly the person will collapse, that is not true. The government has to be transparent. For example, for me, when I got the vaccine, After that, I need to fill in the form. If let's say I have any side effect, I have to report. So these are the reporting system which the government have to make it very transparent to actually to encourage the people to come up for vaccinations.
Large-scale vaccination centres accommodating over 8,000 jabs a day will open in every state to assist in the third phase of the national COVID-19 immunisation programme. Now, this is in line with the government's plans to vaccinate 80% of the population by year-end.
Coordinating Minister Khairi Jamaluddin said among potential locations to be set up for large-scale vaccinations is Bukit Jalil National Stadium in Kuala Lumpur. Meanwhile, Khairi today launched the Malaysia Vaccine Support Volunteers, a platform to mobilise volunteers. Those interested to volunteer as medical, security personnel or general volunteer can register at www.myvac.com.my. The government does not have any objections if states want to buy vaccines on their own. Khairi, however, says that the issue was not about the purchase but the availability of supply. According to him, among the states that have shown an interest in buying their own vaccines were Selangor, Pahang, Johor and Sarawak. In other news, the National Disaster Management Agency NADMA is planning a house-to-house campaign to encourage those hesitant to register for the COVID-19 vaccine. The campaign targets the East Coast states such as Kelantan and Terengganu. As of today, over 5.6 million have registered to be vaccinated against COVID-19.
Despite the defection of 3 PKR lawmakers, opposition leader Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim insists that he has adequate numbers to take over the government. However, when pressed to elaborate further, Anwar said that Prime Minister Tan Sri Muhyiddin Yassin instead needs to prove that the Perikatan Nasional Coalition has enough support to maintain their hold of Putrajaya.
He added that the 3 defections were of no significance to the PN coalition's overall standing in Parliament. In fact, he claimed that PN has less than 111 or 112 MPs as they declared. Anwar's PKR has lost Julao MP Larry Singh, Tebrau MP Stephen Chong and Kuala Langat MP Dr. Xavier Jayakumar in less than a month, with all 3 turning independent and pledging support for the ruling coalition.
Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim also dismissed questions about a potential partnership with UMNO for the 15th general election. He said talks in this direction were still at a very early stage and has yet to be formalised. When asked if the UMNO lawmakers he has met to discuss the matter included former Prime Minister Datuk Seri Najib Razak, Anwar said he met with any and all lawmakers. Anwar's press conference today drew heavy attention after it was disclosed that PKR and UMNO met informally during the weekend, prompting speculation that he could announce some form of cooperation heading into the next general election. Anwar, however, also reiterated his party's commitment to Pakatan Harapan when he was asked if PKR would consider contesting the general election independently. The World Bank believes Malaysia will likely transition to a high-income nation in the next 5 years. However, the group warns that Malaysia risks falling behind in the regional competition for foreign investments due to long-standing policy and structural issues. The World Bank in a report said under a high-case scenario, a high-income status could be achieved earlier in 2024, whereas under a low-case scenario in 2028, on the basis that the economy continues to expand healthily in the next few years. The group, however, pointed out that foreign inflows should remain subdued as Malaysia lags in reforms to policies that drove its boom in the 1970s to 1990s. Richard Rackett, the bank's lead economist for Malaysia, said structural reforms are needed to revitalise Malaysia's investment credentials.
So, we're talking about raising the quality of human capital, about improving female labour force participation, about productivity, about efficiency, about the technical prowess of the labour force, the importance of the social contract, and a social inclusion system, and a public sector system which is able to sort of raise more revenue, collect more, but also spend better.
High-income economies are those with a gross national income per capita of $12,535. Malaysia is $1,335 short of the current threshold level that defines a high-income economy. We'll take a short break. Stay with us.
Mampukah rangkaian anda memperkasa organisasi anda bertindak? Amanah di tangan kita. Adat, budaya dan semangat menjadi kesinambungan perpaduan tanah air yang tercinta. Berteraskan adab yang terpahat di jiwa dan raga. Marilah bersama kita membina negara Malaysia.
Bila sentuh soal berita, tiada masa untuk tunggu. Kepada anda kami bawakan fakta, susulan dan kupasan yang terkini. Tiada drama dan tiada pengulangan. Usah tunggu lama-lama. AWANI 745 lebih awal dari biasa.
Welcome back to AWANI Tonight. Facebook has agreed to pay News Corp Australia for its news content. The deal was secured just weeks after Australia passed a first-of-its-kind media law in the world aimed at making platforms pay news publishers for content.
News Corp, owned by Rupert Murdoch, is the largest media company to sign agreement with Facebook since the law was passed. News Corp did not disclose the value of the 3-year contract in Australia. The media empire controls over 70% of newspaper circulation in the country, with publications including The Australian, The Daily Telegraph, The Herald Sun, TV network Sky News and news.com.au. Last month, Google also struck a 3-year deal with News Corp, which includes ad revenue sharing and the development of a subscription platform.
On to updates in Myanmar. Security forces shot dead at least 20 people on Monday after 74 were killed a day earlier. Meanwhile, residents in several townships in Yangon are fleeing the city after the military imposed martial law, which effectively gives complete control to military commanders to arrest anyone. Those arrested would face trial by military tribunal, with sentences ranging from 3 years hard labor to execution. According to Monitoring Group Assistance Association for Political Prisoners, more than 180 people have been killed since the military takeover in February. Anti-coup protesters continue to take to the streets to demand a return to democracy, despite the junta's increasingly lethal crackdown on resistance. The Philippines' capital, Manila, will widen a ban on minors leaving their residences for 2 weeks in a bid to tackle a new surge of COVID-19 infections in the city. Starting tomorrow, only those aged 18 to 65 will be allowed out of their homes.
The Philippines has seen a surge in cases this month, recording the largest daily increase since mid-August on Monday, with over 5,400 new infections. Nighttime curfews have been reimposed for 2 weeks in metropolitan Manila. China is poised to ease border restrictions to allow some foreigners back in, provided they have taken a Chinese-made COVID-19 vaccine. The country has been closed to most foreigners since last March, but Chinese embassies in several countries, including the US, India, Pakistan, the Philippines, Italy and Sri Lanka, have issued notices saying the country will open visa applications to select people who have taken a China-made jab.
Some 15,000 cases of child marriage were recorded in Malaysia between 2007 and 2017. Tonight on Consider This, we speak to Sarah Norton-Stall and Nor Aziah Awal on how far the COVID-19 pandemic has set back efforts to end child marriage in Malaysia. And that is all we have for you on AWANI tonight. Get the latest news updates on COVID-19 and COVID-19 vaccines from astroawani.com and Astro AWANI app. I'm Cynthia Ng. We'll see you tomorrow.